viewers. How are you? It's my hope that you are doing fine. My name is teacher Ramadan Kidegesho, teaching chemistry. Today, I will teach the topic which is called the volumetric analysis. This is one of the Form 3 topics, but it's very important to both Form 3 and Form 4 students because it provides the general concept of one of the practical questions, Form 4 practical question of next examination. So keep in touch. Now, subtopics which must be covered in this topic including the following. The first one is standard volumetric apparatus. The second is standard solution. The third one is volumetric calculation. And the last one is application of volumetric analysis. Now, before starting with these subtopics, let us start with the introduction to volumetric analysis. Now, what is volumetric analysis? Students, can you define volumetric analysis? Few seconds. Good. Okay. Volumetric analysis, by definition, we can say, is the process of determining the amount of substance in terms of volume and concentration of reacting solutions. Volumetric analysis is the process of determining the amount of substance in terms of volume and concentration of reacting solutions. Now here we determine the amount of a substance in terms of volume and concentration. So this volumetric analysis also can call it quantitative analysis because what are we determining here is the amount of substance in terms of volume and concentration. Now, in volumetric analysis, we deal with the volumes of solutions. That's why this quantitative determination is called volumetric analysis. So it's called volumetric analysis because we deal with the volumes of solutions. Now, the amount of substance present in solution. The amount of substance present in solution is determined in terms of volume, the unit is liter or decimeter cube, and concentration, the unit is gram per decimeter cube or mole per decimeter cube. So here, the amount of a substance in volumetric analysis is determined in terms of volume and concentration. It's better now to get the concept of concentration. Now, what is concentration, students? Can you define concentration? Good, it's okay. Concentration, by definition, we can say, is the amount of a substance present in 1 liter or 1 decimeter cube of solution. Is the amount of substance present in 1 liter of solution. This is concentration. Now, types of concentration. How many? Okay, we have 2 types of concentration. The first one is called the molar concentration or molarity, and the second one is called the mass concentration. So we have molar concentration, in another name we can call it molarity, and we have mass concentration. Now, let us start with molar concentration or molarity. Now, students, what is molarity? Can you define molarity? Good. Molarity, by definition, we can say, is the amount of substance in mole present in 1 liter of solution. Amount of a substance in mole present in 1 liter of solution. Now, mathematically, molarity is equal to the number of moles of substance divided by the volume of solution. And the volume should be in decimeter cube. Now, the units or SI unit of molarity is mole per decimeter cube, or capital M. So the SI unit is mole per decimeter cube or capital M. For example, when we say 0.1 mole per decimeter cube of sulfuric acid, this is the molarity of sulfuric acid. Or if you say 0.1 capital M sulfuric acid is the same as you say 0.1 mole per decimeter cube. So mole per decimeter cube or capital M, these are units of molarity. Now, mass concentration. Students, can you try to define mass concentration? Mass concentration, by definition, you can say, is the amount of substance in gram present in 1 liter of solution. Is the amount of substance in gram present in 1 liter of a solution. Now, mathematically, mass concentration is equal to mass of a substance in a gram divided by volume of solution in decimeter cube. So the mass should be in gram and the volume should be in decimeter cube. So this is the formula for calculating mass concentration. Now the SI unit of mass concentration is gram per decimeter cube. For example, 17 gram per decimeter cube of sodium hydroxide. So this is the mass concentration of sodium hydroxide. Now, question. The first question says, calculate the molarity of solution which contain 0.05 moles of potassium hydroxide in 80 centimeter cube. So here, in this question, you have been given the volume which is 80 centimeter cube. You must convert to decimeter cube, and then you have been given the number of moles which is 0.05 moles. What is required here is to calculate molarity. It's my hope that from the formula which I explained earlier, you can calculate the molarity of what you have been given here. Now, it's my hope that you can do it. Another question say, what is the mass concentration of 10 gram of sulfuric acid in 2 decimeter cube? So here you have been given the mass which is 10 gram and you have been given the volume which is 2 decimeter cube. What is required here is mass concentration. Students, it's my hope that you can answer this question. Now, you have to try to do it. Now, second, we are going to look at the relationship between concentration and molar mass. The relationship between concentration and molar mass of a substance. Now, from the formula, we say that the molarity is equal to mole over volume. Molarity is equal to mole over volume. But the mole is equal to mass over molar mass. It's my hope that you know that mole is equal to mass over molar mass from the concept of mole. Now, if we substitute this formula of mole is equal to mass over molar mass in this formula of molarity, here in this mole over volume, you obtain something like this one. Molarity is equal to mass over molar mass times the volume. Molarity is equal to mass over molar mass times the volume. Now, mass concentration always is equal to mass over volume. And here in this formula, we have mass over volume. Mass over molar mass times the volume, but mass over volume. Now, if we substitute this mass concentration in mass over volume here, we obtain something like this one. Molarity is equal to mass concentration over molar mass. Now, the relationship between molarity, mass concentration, and molar mass is given by the following formula. Molarity is equal to mass concentration over molar mass. Students, get? if you have been given maybe two values of this one here, and then you have been asked to calculate the value of one thing, it is very possible by using these formulas. If you have been given the value of molarity, of mass concentration in the molar mass, and then you have been asked to calculate molarity, it will be molarity is equal to mass over molar mass. If you have the value of molarity and molar mass, then they ask you to calculate mass concentration. It's a matter of making subject. You make subject, and the mass concentration here will be equal to molarity times the molar mass. Okay, example 1. Calculate the mass concentration of 0.1 molarity sodium hydroxide. Calculate the mass concentration of 0.1 molarity sodium hydroxide. From this question here, you have been given the molarity of sodium hydroxide, which is equal to 0.1 molarity. Then they ask you to calculate mass concentration. Now, molarity of sodium hydroxide is 0.1 mole per decimeter cube. Molar mass of sodium hydroxide, we sum up the atomic masses of constituent element, which is sodium, oxygen, and hydrogen, and it will be equal to 40 grams per mole. Now, you have a molar mass, you have a molarity. What is required is to calculate mass concentration. Now, from the formula, molarity is equal to mass concentration over molar mass. It is known. Now, mass concentration is equal to molarity times the molar mass. Now, molarity you have, molar mass you have. So, mass concentration will be equal to 0.1 mole per decimeter cube. You multiply by 40 grams per mole. Now, mass concentration is equal to 4 grams per decimeter cube. Students, are you clear? Have you get the concept here on how to calculate the mass concentration? Okay. Now, second example says calculate the molar mass of 10.6 grams per decimeter cube of 0.1 molarity X carbonate. Identify element X. So, in this question here, you have been given the mass concentration, which is equal to 10.6 grams per decimeter cube. Also, you have been given the molarity, which is equal to 0.1 capital M. What is required here is to calculate the molar mass, and the second, to identify element X. I mean, X is a known element, so we need to identify. They need you to identify element X. This question is very simple, as you have here a mass concentration and the molarity. It is very possible to obtain the molar mass. Now, solution. Mass concentration of X carbonate is 10.6 grams per decimeter cube. Molarity of X carbonate is 0.1 mole per decimeter cube. Now, from the formula, molar mass is equal to mass concentration over molarity. From that's the relationships which we discussed earlier. That's molar mass is equal to mass concentration over molar mass. Mass concentration you have, molar mass you have. Now, it will be equal to 10.6 grams per decimeter cube divided by 0.1 mole per decimeter cube. Now, the molar mass of X carbonate will be 106 grams per mole. This is the molar mass of X carbonate. Then, how to identify element X from X carbonate? Given that you have a molar mass of the whole compound, which is the X carbonate. Now, molar mass of X carbonate is equal to 106 grams per mole. To identify element X, we sum up the atomic masses of the constituent elements of this compound, of X carbonate compound. It will be like this one, because we have 2X, so it will be 2X with plus with 12, which is the atomic mass of carbon. We add 16 times 3, which is the atomic mass of oxygen, but we have 3 oxygen. Now, which is equal to 106. Now here, it's a matter of calculating the value of what? The value of X. To calculate the value of X, 2X plus 60 is equal to 106 minus 60. If this 60 comes to the right side, it will be minus because here it is positive. Now, it will be 106 minus 60. Now, 2X will be equal to 46. We divide by 2 on both sides, and X will be equal to 23. So, which element has the atomic mass of 23? Because X has the atomic mass of 23. Now you find the atom which has the atomic mass of 23. Now, since the atomic mass of X is 23, the element X is sodium. The sodium is always has 23 atomic mass. For that case, the element X is sodium. It's my hope that you understand on how to identify the element given that you have the molar mass. Okay. After getting the concept, now let us discuss the first subtopic of volumetric analysis, which is called standard volumetric apparatus. Now, the following are common laboratory apparatus used in volumetric analysis. The first one is pipette. This pipette is used to measure the exact volume of liquid. Measure the exact or specific volume of liquid pipette. And here we have a diagram of pipette, is this one here. And this pipette can measure 25 mils of solutions. As you see here in this diagram of pipette, or in this drawing of pipette here, there is a mark here. This mark here is the meniscus of pipette. Once the solution reaches this mark, the solution which is measured here is of 25 milliliter. Now, the second apparatus is called burette. Also, burette is used in volumetric analysis. This is used to measure accurate volume of liquid. The function of burette is to measure the accurate volume of liquid. And here we have a diagram of burette. This is the diagram of burette. And as you see in this diagram, there is a stopcock here. So the function of this stopcock is to allow the liquid which is inside burette to move out during the titration process. The third apparatus is called measuring cylinder. Measuring cylinder. So the function of measuring cylinder is used to measure the volume of a solution, but not very accurate as burette. Not very accurate as burette. So this one also is the apparatus which is used to measure the volume of solution. And here we have the diagram of the measuring cylinder. So this one here is the measuring cylinder, and this can measure up to 100 milliliter of solutions. Another apparatus is called volumetric flask. What is the function? It is used to make up the solution to the final total volume. This volumetric flask is used to make up a solution to the total final volume. Here is the diagram of volumetric flask, and this volumetric flask can measure up to 100 milliliter of solutions. Now, once solution reach to this mark, the solution here will have 100 milliliter. Now, another apparatus is called conical flask or titrating flask. This conical flask or titrating flask is used to mix solution during titration process. This is the diagram of conical flask. Now, during the titration process, we mix the acid and base in this apparatus. Acid and base indicator are mixed in this apparatus here. Another apparatus is called the wash bottle. What the function? This one is used to store distilled water. So distilled water for washing apparatus during experiment are kept in wash bottle. And this one here is the diagram of wash bottle. As you see, this one here is the diagram of wash bottle. Now, the distilled water are kept in this apparatus, and during experiment process, that distilled water are used to wash apparatus which is contaminated with chemicals. Another apparatus is called reagent bottle. What the function is? This one is used to store chemicals. Various chemicals like indicator are stored in a reagent bottle. And this one here is the drawing with the diagram of wash bottle of reagent bottle. So the chemicals are stored in this bottle. Various chemicals. Now, another apparatus is called the spatula. What the function is? This one is used to scope powdered or crystalline chemicals. As you are doing experiment, it is strictly prohibited to touch or to scope the chemicals by bare hand. Now we use a spatula to scope the powdered or crystalline chemicals during experimental process. Once you want it to weigh, we use a spatula to scope that powdered or crystalline chemicals. This one here is the diagram of a spatula. Another is retort stand. The function of retort stand is to hold or support the apparatus such as burette during the titration process. Now, the apparatus like burette are held or are supported by retort stand. This is the diagram of burette of retort stand. Now, this retort stand is very important during titration process as it is supporting burette. Another apparatus is beaker. The function of beaker is to hold the solution. The solution like acid, base are held by beaker. Now, these are diagrams of beaker. We have a beaker of different size here. This one is the large beaker which can measure up to 100 mils. This one 150 mils. This one 250 mils. So the beakers are of different size. Now, another is the watch glass. What the function of watch glass is used for holding powdered or crystalline chemicals that have been weighed. Once you want to weigh powdered or crystalline chemicals, this one, watch glass, is used to hold during the weighing process. And here is the diagram of watch glass. This one here is the watch glass, and the function is to hold that kind of chemicals during weighing process. Now another is a dropper. This dropper is used to add liquid drop by drop. So in the titration process, the indicators are added in a solution, in basic solution, by using a dropper. So in this one here is the diagram of a dropper. The dropper is look like this one. So the function is to add the indicator drop by drop during the titration process. Now, after discussing or after explaining to you the apparatus which are used in titration process, let us now go to the second subtopic, which is called the standard solution. Now, students, what is the standard solution? Can you define the standard solution? Okay, standard solution, by definition, you can say, is the solution whose concentration is exactly known. Is the solution whose concentration is exactly known. For example, when we say 0.1 molarity of sulfuric acid, because the concentration of sulfuric acid is known as 0.1 molarity, now this is the standard solution. Another example, when we say 10 grams of sodium hydroxide in 1 decimeter cube. So this is a mass concentration. So the concentration of sodium hydroxide here is known. Now this is the standard solution. Another example, when I say 3.9 grams of potassium hydroxide in 250 centimeter cube of a solution. Now you can find, by calculation, you can find the mass concentration of potassium hydroxide because you have a mass and you have a volume. Now, because the concentration of potassium hydroxide is known, this is the standard solution. Note, standard solution can either be acid or base. Can either be acid or base. Now, what is the molar solution? Students, can you define molar solution? Can you give me a brief explanation on molar solution? Few seconds. Good. Molar solution, by definition, you can say, is the solution which contains 1 mole of solute dissolved in 1 decimeter cube. A solution which contains 1 mole of a solute dissolved in 1 decimeter cube of a solution. That's a molar solution. For example, when I say 1 molarity of sulfuric acid, or 98 grams of sulfuric acid in 1 decimeter cube, because the molar mass of sulfuric acid is 98 grams per mole. Now, once you dissolve 98 grams of sulfuric acid in 1 decimeter cube, this is a molar solution of sulfuric acid. Another example, when we dissolve 40 grams of sodium hydroxide in 1 decimeter cube, also this is a molar solution of sodium hydroxide. Okay, now how to prepare a standard solution of different compounds? Now let us look at the preparation of 0.1 molarity of sodium carbonate solution. Molar mass of sodium carbonate is 160 grams per mole. So to prepare the molar solution or 1 molarity of sodium carbonate, 160 grams of sodium carbonate is dissolved to make 1 decimeter cube of solution. Now the relationship here is like this one. 1 mole per decimeter cube of sodium carbonate is equal to 160 grams of sodium carbonate in 1 decimeter cube of solution. Point to remember, we need to prepare 0.1 molarity of sodium carbonate. Now, from the relationship above, 1 molarity of sodium carbonate is equal to 160 grams of sodium carbonate in 1 decimeter cube. Now, 0.1 molarity of sodium carbonate is equal to how many grams of sodium carbonate in 1 decimeter cube? Now, to calculate the mass of sodium carbonate, which dissolve in 1 decimeter cube, to make 0.1 molarity of sodium carbonate, we use the cross multiplication. We use the cross multiplication here. And the value of X will be equal to 0.1 molarity times 160 grams you divide by 1 molarity, which is equal to 10.6 grams. Now, in order to prepare 0.1 molarity of sodium carbonate solution, 10.6 grams of sodium carbonate is dissolved to make 1 decimeter cube of solution. That's how to prepare 0.1 molarity of sodium carbonate. Second example is how to prepare the standard solution of sulfuric acid. Now, standard solution of sulfuric acid cannot be prepared directly because the sulfuric acid is hygroscopic. When we say hygroscopic, it means it can react with the water vapor and dilute itself. So for this case, because the sulfuric acid can react with the water vapor and dilute itself, that's why we cannot prepare the sulfuric acid, the standard solution of sulfuric acid directly. Now, to prepare the standard solution of sulfuric acid, the following 2 stages are involved. The first one is to dilute concentrated sulfuric acid to approximately required molarity. We take the concord sulfuric acid, then we dilute to required molarity. Then the second, to standardize, because the concentration and the molarity which is obtained after diluting the concord sulfuric acid is not exactly the same as the molarity which you require to prepare. Now we need to standardize the solution obtained by titrating against the basic solution of the same molarity. We take the basic solution or the standard solution of basic, then of the same molarity, then we titrate against the sulfuric acid. That's how to standardize the solution. So only to these stages, to dilute this concentrated sulfuric acid to approximately required molarity, and to standardize the solution obtained by titrating it against the solution, basic solution of the same molarity. These 2 stages can be used to prepare the standard solution of sulfuric acid. Now, preparation of 0.1 molarity of sulfuric acid. Let us look at how to prepare 0.1 molarity of sulfuric acid. Now, to calculate the molarity of sulfuric acid, of concentrated sulfuric acid, first we have to calculate the molarity of the concentrated sulfuric acid. How to calculate? The density of pure concentrated sulfuric acid is 1.8 gram per centimeter cube. This is the molarity of pure concentrated sulfuric acid. Now, the percentage assay of concentrated sulfuric acid is 98%. We have a percentage assay and we have a density. Now, from the formula, molarity of Conco sulfuric acid is equal to percentage assay, you multiply by density, you multiply by 1000 centimeter cube, you divide by molar mass. So by this formula here, you can obtain the molarity of concentrated sulfuric acid. So percentage assay times density of sulfuric acid times 1000 centimeter cube divided by molar mass. This is what we call the molarity, the formula which can help you to obtain the molarity of concentrated sulfuric acid. Now, the molarity of concentrated sulfuric acid will be equal to 98, as it is the percentage assay of sulfuric acid. We multiply by 1.8 gram per centimeter cube as the density of sulfuric acid. We multiply by 1000 centimeter cube. We divide by 100. We multiply by 98 gram per mole as the molar mass of sulfuric acid. Once you make a calculation, the molarity of concentrated sulfuric acid will be equal to 18 molarity, or 18 mole per decimeter cube. So this is how to calculate the molarity of concentrated sulfuric acid. Not only concentrated sulfuric acid can be calculated by this formula, also any acid which you have been given, you can calculate its molarity by using this formula. In case you have been given maybe hydrochloric acid, you can use this formula to calculate the molarity of concentrated Conco acid, concentrated acid. In case you have been given a nitric acid, also you can use this formula to calculate the molarity of concentrated acid. Now, we use this formula to calculate the molarity of concentrated sulfuric acid, and it is 18 mole per decimeter cube. Now, after obtaining the molarity of concentrated sulfuric acid, what's followed? To calculate the volume of concentrated sulfuric acid which are to be diluted. Because what is required here, in order to obtain the molarity which is required, we need first to have a volume which must be diluted. The volume of concentrated sulfuric acid which are to be diluted. Now, how to obtain this volume? How to calculate this volume of Conco acid which are to be diluted? From the dilution law, molarity or concentration of concentration of concentrated acid times the volume of concentrated acid is equal to concentration of diluted acid times the volume of diluted acid. So this is the dilution law. Now we need to find the molarity of, we need to find the volume of concentrated acid. How? Remember, you have the molarity of concentrated which is 18. You need to prepare 0.1. So this is the volume of diluted. You want to prepare, which volume do you want to prepare? Now it is the volume of diluted acid. Maybe you want to prepare 1000 centimeter cube, or you want to prepare 10,000 centimeter cube, whatever you put here in volume of diluted acid. Now here it will be 0.1 as the molarity of diluted acid. You multiply by thousands. We need to prepare 1 decimeter cube of a solution, or 1000 centimeter cube of a solution. We take 0.1, we multiply by 1000 centimeter cubes is equal to 18 as the molarity of concentrated acid times N, which is the volume of concentrated, which are we going to calculate. Now, to calculate the volume of acid, which is equal to N, N will be equal to 5.6 centimeter cube. 5.6 centimeter cube, this is the volume of concentrated acid. Now, the volume of concentrated sulfuric acid is 5.6 centimeter cube. Now, we have already the volume which are to be diluted. So, what's follow? To dilute the concentrated sulfuric acid. Now, how could we dilute this compost sulfuric acid? By following these procedures here. First, measure 5.6 to 6 centimeter cube of concentrated sulfuric acid using small measuring cylinder. We use this small measuring cylinder, we measure 5.6 to 6 centimeter cube. The purpose of measuring from 5.6 to 6 centimeter cube is to obtain the molarity which is higher than that expected. Maybe we expect to prepare 0.1 molarity of sulfuric acid. Now we need to have the molarity which is above 0.1 centimeter cube in order during standardization process to standardize to obtain the molarity which is required. Now, first of all, the volume which you obtain of concentrated is 5.6. So you measure 5.6 to 6 centimeter cube of concentrated sulfuric acid. We use a small measuring cylinder. After measuring this volume, what's followed? Secondly, pour carefully into 1000 centimeter cube volumetric flask containing 700 of distilled water. So you take the volumetric flask, then you put 700 centimeter cube of distilled water. Then this volume which you measure here, I mean 5.6 to 6 centimeter cube of concentrated sulfuric acid, we mix with 700 centimeter cube of distilled water in volumetric flask. And the volumetric flask should be of 1000 centimeter cube because we need to prepare 1 decimeter cube of a solution. We need to prepare 1 decimeter cube of a solution or 1000 centimeter cube of solution. So after measuring, then we pour this liquid which we measure here to 1000 centimeter cube volumetric flask, and this volumetric flask should contain 700 centimeter cube of distilled water. Then thirdly, add distilled water to the mark. After pouring this solution of concentrated sulfuric acid which we measured earlier, after pouring it into volumetric flask, we add distilled water to the mark, up to the 1000 centimeter cube. Stopper it and shake it well. Then we stop. We use the stopper. We stopper it and then we shake it in order to mix it. Then this will give the concentration above 0.1 because here we measure above 5.6, so the concentration which will be obtained here will be above 0.1 molarity. The solution is now standardized by the treating against the standard solution. Because the concentration which is obtained here is above 0.1, now we standardize by titrating it against the standard base. Now, to titrate sulfuric acid against the standard base, measure 5 centimeter cube of 0.1 molarity sodium carbonate into conical flask and add a few drops of methyl orange indicator. So we measure 25, we use pipette to measure 25 centimeter cube of 0.1 molarity of sodium carbonate. After that, we add a few drops of what? Of methyl indicator. Then after that, pour acid into 50 centimeter cube urate and note the initial reading. Then what's follow? Add slowly the acid into conical flask until the color change to orange and record the final volume. Remember, here you have the initial reading, then here you need to have the final reading. During the titration, once the color changes, you obtain the final reading. Now repeat the procedure above 3 times. These procedures which you do here above, you repeat it 3 times. Now the table of result will be like this one. The first titrate value will be like this one. The initial volume maybe was 0.00. Then after the titrating, you obtain 23.7. Once you minus here, it will be 23.7. Then the second titrate volume, it will be 0.00. Then after the titration is 23.50. So it is 23.50. And the third titrate volume is 0.00 up to 23.60, so it will be 23.60. So this is the table of result. I mean, we do 3 times. Now, after obtaining this value here, I mean this one here is the titrate volume. Now, it's a matter of calculating the average volume of acid. The average volume of acid will be obtained by taking this and by summing up this, then you divide by number of titres. We have 3 titres here. So you take 23.7 with plus 23.5 with plus 23.6, we divide by 3, we obtain 23.6. So this one here, which is obtained here, is the average volume of acid. Now the average volume of acid here is 23.5. Now the volume of sulfuric acid is 23.5. Point to remember, the volume of standard base of sodium carbonate was 25 centimeter cube. Now the volume of sulfuric acid, which is obtained after finding the average volume here, is 23.6. Now after that, to calculate the molarity of acid, we have already obtained the volume of acid, which is 23.6. Now it's a matter of calculating the molarity of acid. Then the molarity of acid is obtained from the MAVA, from the formula, from the molar ratio formula. I mean from the molar ratio formula. So first of all, the balanced chemical equation is the sodium carbonate and the sulfuric acid. We obtain sodium sulfate, carbon dioxide, and water. So the equation here is balanced. Now, the data given, the volume of acid is 23.6 as we obtained there. The volume of base is 25 centimeter cube, as we use the pipette of 25 centimeter cube. The molarity of acid is what are we going to find? Molarity of base is 0.1 molarity. Number of acid, I mean after balancing the equation, the number of acid here will be 1 and the number of base here will be 1. Now these are data. Then from the molar ratio formula, if you take the molarity of acid, you multiply by volume of acid, you divide by the number of moles of acid is equal to molarity of base, volume of base divided by number of moles of base. What are we finding here is the molarity of acid. It's a matter of making subjects. The molarity of acid will be equal to molarity of base times the volume of base times the number of moles of acid. You divide by volume of acid times the number of moles of base, which will be equal to 0.1. You multiply by 25. You multiply by 1. You divide by 23.6 times 1. Now, molarity of acid will be equal to 0.106 molarity. After the whole process, the molarity is 0.106. So this molarity actually exceeds the molarity which is required by 0.006. So the molarity of acid exceeds by 0.006 because we need 0.1. We need to prepare 0.1. So the molarity here exceeds by 0.006 molarity. Now, to make the molarity of acid exactly equal to 0.1, the 23.6 centimeter cube of acid must be diluted to 25 centimeter cube. We add distilled water up to 25 centimeter cube. I mean, we measure 23 centimeter cube, then we add water up to 25 centimeter cube. Now, that is 1.4 centimeter cube of distilled water is added to 23.6 centimeter cube of acid of distilled water. Once you add this and this, you obtain 25. The solution. Now, for solution with 900 centimeter cube of acid, because you prepare 1,000 centimeter cube. Maybe let us assume you use 100 centimeter cube in titration process. What's remaining is 900 centimeter cube of sulfuric acid in titrating flask. Now, for solution with 900 centimeter cube of acid, how much distilled water is added? Now, from the relationship, 1.4 centimeter cube of distilled water is equal to 23.6 centimeter cube of acid. I mean, we added 23.6 centimeter cube of acid, we added 1.4 centimeter cube of distilled water. Now, how many amount of water will be added if you have 900 centimeter cube of acid? Now here we use a cross multiplication, and the value of x will be equal to 1.4. You multiply by 900, then you divide it by 23.6, which will be equal to 53.4 centimeter cube. No? This one, this volume here, 53.4 centimeter cube. If added to 900 centimeter cube, the acid will be diluted to 0.1 molarity. Therefore, 53.5 centimeter cube of distilled water should be added to 900 centimeter cube of 0.106 molarity sulfuric acid to make it 0.1 molarity. Now, if you want to make 0.1 molarity, in this one, you must add 53.4 centimeter cube. So this is how to standardize the acid which contain more than molarity which is required. More than molarity which is required. That's how we standardize. Point to remember, in standardization process, first of all, we titrate the acid which is obtained against standard base. After that, we find the molarity of acid after the titrating process, and the molarity which is obtained there exceeds the molarity which is required, must exceed the molarity which is required. Then after that, we look at how much amount of distilled water should be added to in order to make it that solution standard, that acid standard, non-standard. Now it's a matter of using this relationship. After making this relationship here, I mean, we have seen here 1.4 centimeter cube of distilled water should be added to 23.6 centimeter cube to make it 25 centimeter cube. Now this relationship here we use it to the amount of acid which you have in order to make it exactly 0.1 molarity. Now, in volumetric analysis, two solutions are involved. Which are those? The first solution is the standard solution, and And the second solution is the solution of unknown concentration. So we use the standard solution and the solution of unknown concentration. What is titration? By definition, you can say titration is the process of adding acid solution from the burette to alkali solution in titrating flask until the reaction is just complete. So the process of adding acid solution from the burette to alkali solution in the titrating flask until the reaction is just complete, we call it titration. Now, one of the solution is the standard solution. One of the solution may be acid solution or alkali solution. One of the solution is the standard solution and another is the solution of unknown concentration. Now, the completion of reaction is shown by color change of solution caused by indicator added in the titrating flask. So, during the titration processing, in the conical flask, we put the base. The base is kept in conical flask. After putting the base there, we add a few drops of indicator. Maybe indicator can either be methyl orange or phenolphthalein indicator. Now, once you add it and you mix that basic solution, basic solution in the acid, the color will change. So the completion of reaction is shown by the color change of a solution caused by indicator added in the titrating flask. So the point at which the reaction is complete is called the equivalence point. This is the theoretical point. We expect you to obtain maybe 25 centimeter cube. So that 25 centimeter cube is the equivalence point. But the point at which the color change after titration is called the end point. I say that we expect you to obtain maybe 25 centimeter cube. This is the theoretical point or the equivalence point. But during titration, there are some errors which can make the value which we expect you to obtain to vary. Now, the point at which the color change after titration is called the end point of titration. So the end point of titration is the point of practical, not theoretical. It is a practical point. It is a practical point. After the titration process, what we obtain is the end point. But theoretical point, I mean, what is expected is what we call it, equivalency point. Note, seriousness is very important during titration process, during experiment, so that the difference between end point and the equivalence point is as small as possible. We need the end point and the equivalence point to be very small. The difference between these two should be very small. Should be very small. Once you are not serious, I mean the value will be greater, will be greater than it was expected. So these differences should be there, but they should be as small as possible. Now, choice of indicator. Choice of indicator. So the common indicators used in the titration process including the following. The first one is the methyl orange indicator, and the second one is the phenolphthalein indicator. We have two kinds of indicators which are commonly used during the titration process. So we have a methyl orange indicator and we have a phenolphthalein indicator. Now, what is methyl orange? Methyl orange indicator can be defined as the weak organic base. This is the weak organic base, while phenolphthalein indicator is the weak organic acid. Weak organic acid. Now, in methyl orange, color changes from yellow to pink. Methyl orange, the color changes from yellow to pink. Once you add it to the base, to the basic solution, it will be yellow. And once you mix it, with the acid, the color will change from yellow to pink. In phenolphthalein indicator, the color change from colorless to pink. Now, once the phenolphthalein indicator is mixed with the base, the color will be colorless. But once you mix the mixture there of basic solution and the phenolphthalein indicator with the acid, the color will change from colorless to pink. Now, if strong acid, case 1, if strong acid is titrated against strong alkali, any indicator can be used. I mean, you can use methyl orange indicator or phenolphthalein indicator. For example, for strong acid, strong base, maybe hydrochloric acid and the sodium hydroxide. So, any indicator can be used. Why any indicator? We say that methyl orange is a weak organic base, and the weak organic base requires strong acid. And here we have a strong acid, so the color will change. And the phenolphthalein indicator is a weak organic acid, and the weak organic acid requires strong alkali. And here we have a strong alkali. Once you mix together, the color will change from colorless to pink. Now, for that case, strong acid, strong alkali, any indicator can be used. Case 2, when weak acid is titrated against strong alkali. When weak acid is titrated against strong alkali, phenolphthalein indicator can be used. Why? For example, this one here is ethanoic acid, is a weak acid, and this one here is sodium hydroxide, is a strong alkali. So, weak acid, strong alkali, phenolphthalein indicator can be used. Why? Because phenolphthalein indicator is a weak organic acid, and the weak organic acid always require a strong alkali in order for color to change. So, for that case, phenolphthalein indicator can be used, but methyl orange indicator cannot be used in this case. Why cannot be used? Because methyl orange indicator is a weak organic base, and here we have weak acid. So weak organic base and weak acid, the color will totally not change. The color will totally not change. Case 3, when strong acid is titrated against weak alkali. Strong acid, weak alkali, methyl orange can be used. For example, sulfuric acid and ammonium hydroxide. Sulfuric acid is a strong acid, ammonium hydroxide is a weak alkali. In that case, methyl orange can be used because methyl orange is a weak organic acid, a weak organic base, and it requires a strong acid, and here we have a strong acid. Phenolphthalein indicator cannot be used because it is a weak organic acid, and here we have a weak alkali. And for that case, the color will not change in case you use the phenolphthalein indicator. Case 4, there is no indicator which is suitable for titration of weak acid against weak base. So if you have a weak acid, weak base, no indicator which is suitable for this titration. So I hope that you kept me, you students. You understand me? So in case you have a weak acid and weak base, there is no indicator which can be suitable for this titration. But the strong acid, weak base, or strong acid, weak alkali, methyl indicator can be used. Weak acid, strong alkali, phenolphthalein indicator can be used. If you have a strong acid, strong base, any indicator can be used. And I have already explained the reason why these indicators are suitable for a specific solution which you have been given. For a solution which you have been given. In case you have been asked the question to give reason why the methyl orange is used instead of something, maybe you have to look if it is strong or weak. Strong acid, weak alkali. Which one is strong and which one is weak? So that's all about the choice of indicator. Now, this point here mark the end of my presentation of this time. Thank you very much for listening and watching. You were with me, Sir Ramadhani Kidegesho. All the best in your studies. Thank you.
Enlab Innovation Academy inatangaza nafasi za masomo ya Information Technology kwa ngazi ya certificate na diploma kwa wanafunzi waliomaliza kidato cha 4, kidato cha 6 na chuo NTA Level 3. Chuo kipo Kinondoni Vijana jijini Dar es Salaam. Zaidi ya kusoma, mwanafunzi anapewa nafasi ya kuanzisha mradi wa kiteknolojia pamoja na kupatiwa mentor wa kumwongoza. Pia tunamsaidia mwanafunzi kutafuta scholarships pale anapohitimu. Tupigie leo 0677 071 486 au 0744100231 au tembelea tovuti yetu www.nia.ac.tz.